Welcome to the hidden world of royal motherhood, where queens weren't crowned for wisdom but bred for their wombs. Where pregnancy was not a blessing, but a political obligation. Where every labor pain echoed through palace halls, and every miscarriage wasn't just a loss, but a potential civil war. These are the stories they never taught you in school. These are the women who paid the ultimate price to keep dynasties alive. Anne Stuart ascended the throne in 1702. But her crown rested on a foundation of 17 broken dreams. Despite 17 pregnancies, she died without a living heir, the final monarch of the House of Stuart. Stillbirths, miscarriages, infants who lived long enough to be named but not to grow, each loss was a private agony and a national tragedy. Her son, William, died at 11, and with him, the dynasty exhaled its final breath. In Westminster Abbey, beneath Anne's tomb, lie 20 tiny coffins, a haunting testament not just to loss, but to pressure and expectation. Modern scholars speculate about her medical condition, systemic lupus, antiphospholipid syndrome, but no diagnosis can measure what it cost her: a body owned by England, and a womb that became a public battleground. Mumtaz Mahal was not just Shah Jahan's favorite. She was his obsession. And in return, she bore him 14 pregnancies in 19 years. She followed him on military campaigns while pregnant. She delivered child after child with no time for recovery. And in the end, she bled to death, 30 hours into labor, in a small chamber in Burhanpur. The Taj Mahal stands today as her tomb, hailed as a monument of love. But it's also a monument to maternal sacrifice. A woman treasured not for who she was, but for what she could give and what it ultimately cost. MariaTheresa of Austria ran one of Europe's most powerful empires while birthing 16 children over 18 years. Her body belonged to Austria, her children were pawns in a diplomatic chess game she played while in labor. She negotiated treaties between contractions, planned military campaigns while nursing, and arranged marriages while recovering from childbirth. Even her famous daughter, Marie Antoinette, would die in France, a sacrifice to dynastic ambition. Despite 16 births, even MariaTheresa couldn't guarantee the survival of her empire. But she ruled anyway, through exhaustion, through loss, because she had no choice. For 10 years after her marriage to Henry II of France, Catherine de' Medici remained childless. Her infertility became court gossip, her womb the subject of grotesque medical interventions: stag antler paste, mule's urine, cow dung. All in the desperate pursuit of pregnancy. When she finally bore a son, the court wept with relief. She went on to have 10 children, but the damage was done. She had learned that love was irrelevant. Survival required cold calculation. And so she became the Iron Matriarch of France. Eleanor bore children for 2 royal houses, France and England. 2 daughters with Louis VII. Then, after annulment, 5 sons and 3 daughters with Henry II of England. 3 of her sons became kings: Henry, Richard the Lionheart, and John. But that didn't spare her from imprisonment, rebellion, or betrayal. Once her reproductive usefulness ended, Eleanor was locked away for 16 years. Her womb had founded a dynasty. But her loyalty was repaid with chains. Eleanor bore children for 2 royal houses, France and England. 2 daughters with Louis VII. Then, after annulment, 5 sons and 3 daughters with Henry II of England. Queen Victoria detested pregnancy. She called it being like a cow. But over 17 years, she bore 9 children, each pregnancy taking her away from ruling, each one leaving her mentally and physically depleted. She suffered postpartum depression. She saw her children married off for political gain. And she passed on the hemophilia gene that would haunt European royalty for generations. They called her the grandmother of Europe, but her crown was padded with sorrow. Eleanor bore children for 2 royal houses, France and England. 2 daughters with Louis VII. Then, after annulment, 5 sons and 3 daughters with Henry II of England. Queen Victoria detested pregnancy. She called it being like a cow. But over 17 years, she bore 9 children, each pregnancy taking her away from ruling, each one leaving her mentally and physically depleted. Blanche bore 12 children, 6 of whom died. When her husband, King Louis VIII, died, she ruled France as regent, fighting wars, securing alliances, and burying her babies. She crowned her son Louis IX at age 12 and spent her final years safeguarding the Capetian dynasty, all while enduring a heart condition that eventually killed her. Her kingdom survived because of her will. But her own life was swallowed by grief. Charlotte married George III and gave him 15 children in 21 years. She was nearly always pregnant, always recovering. Her health declined, her body bore the scars of constant childbearing, and her husband's mental health crumbled as she tried to manage a family that was never truly hers. Her children were raised for diplomacy, not affection. Her life was service. Her legacy? Continuity at immense personal cost. Married at 6, pregnant by 17, dead by 20. Isabella of Valois was passed between kingdoms like a treaty. Her 3 pregnancies all ended in loss, stillbirths, infant death, and finally her own death in childbirth. She died under the weight of expectations she never agreed to carry. She left no heir, no legacy, just another forgotten name in the long list of royal sacrifices. Constance was brought in to solve a problem. Louis VII needed a male heir. She bore children almost immediately and almost constantly. And then she died, likely from complications of childbirth. Still, no male heir. Her failure led Louis to marry again. Her success, her pain, her death, forgotten, except in footnotes. These 10 queens endured at least 127 documented pregnancies. Hundreds more go unrecorded. Behind each birth was a woman whose body was state property. Their wombs monitored, their pain politicized, their children turned into chess pieces. Before modern medicine, childbirth was roulette. Each labor could be the last. Infection, hemorrhage, death. And yet they kept going. Because stopping wasn't an option. You may think this world is long gone. But even today, royal women face speculation over fertility, scrutiny over their bodies, and public ownership of private choices. Yes, modern royals have medical teams and media consultants. But imagine Anne Boleyn pacing at night, knowing her womb decided her fate. Imagine MariaTheresa negotiating a war with one hand and holding her newborn in the other. They weren't just symbols. They were women, suffering, surviving, screaming into the silence. The Stuart line ended. The Valois line collapsed. The Capetians evolved into strangers. The bloodlines they died to preserve often failed anyway. But the reforms of MariaTheresa, the vision of QueenAnne, the strength of Blanche of Castile, these endure. Their value was always more than their wombs. And that is what we must remember. So next time you gaze at the Taj Mahal, or walk the marble halls of a palace, pause. Listen closely. You may hear the faint echo of a woman's scream. Not a cry of love, but of a queen who gave everything she had to a world that always demanded more.